This AHM BL2 has some weird mechanical issues, and today I'm going to be trying to correct those. So, here's the weird problem this locomotive is having. I'll give it some power going forwards and then in reverse, and you should be able to at least hear what's going on. So here it is in one direction, and here's the other direction. It sounds like the motor is spinning over, but there's absolutely no connection to the wheels whatsoever. I was just filming an overview of this locomotive, but I had to stop because I noticed what is more than likely the actual issue with this thing. I picked it up, and as you can see, this wheel is sort of dropping out of the locomotive itself. And if you flip it over, there's only one screw here, and this screw is loose. But if you look at the other end of this truck, which isn't original, I'll come back to that in a few minutes, this piece right here, where there would usually be a coupler box and a place for a screw, is broken off. So to get this thing to work properly, I think tightening this plate down will be the way to fix it. So I'm just, without my engine cradle or anything, I'm going to tighten it down just sort of like so, and we'll go test this thing really quickly and see if that made any sort of difference. Before we move on and just start cleaning up this locomotive, I want to make sure that that plate actually had something to do with our issue, so I'm going to give this thing some power in both directions. So here's one way. Sounds exactly the same as we had before, but it might have a little more gear noise now, which could be a sign of something, I don't know what. Now let's try it the other way. And it definitely still sounds like that isn't perfect, but clearly tightening that bottom plate made the locomotive move, so I definitely think that'll be our issue. Before I continue working on this thing, I just wanted to show you around a little bit. This locomotive has some really weird modifications and is in pretty weird shape. So as you just saw with this truck, it's got some issues, but these trucks don't actually match. These BL2s were sold with, I think they're Alco trucks or something from AHM just to fit the size of the locomotive more. I don't know exactly what locomotive these trucks were originally supposed to be on, but they sold them on the BL2. So I would assume someone has actually modified this one to have the correct rear truck, but didn't do the same for the front truck. And I don't have any spare trucks to make this change, so it's just gonna have to be like this. Plus, I've got someone else I know who has plans for this thing, so it'll be going to them. And on the underside, the whole front coupler mount assembly for the front truck is just gone. There's like the empty sleeve or whatever where it would be, but there's nothing there. And again, on the rear, it just cut off, and it's facing the opposite direction. So there was some weird craftsmanship going on here. This locomotive's also pretty filthy overall, and I've been told not to mess with that too much, so I'll just leave it as it is. This handrail is also broken off, it appears, or it just needs a little bit of adjusting. I think it's the first one, though. So with that short, quick overview out of the way, let's get back to work and see if we can make this thing functional. First, I'll be taking the shell off, and then I think I want to start on the front truck. We'll save the rear truck for last. But here's the whole situation in here. The soldering really does not look factory, so someone definitely was in here doing some stuff at some point. Everything else in here looks okay. I don't see anything particularly crazy, so I'm going to just leave it alone. The wiring seems to work and whatnot. But what I do want to do, and I'll put this thing in the cradle for it, is clean out this front truck. And I also just noticed on the rear truck it was missing a screw, but it's also missing one on the front truck. This one doesn't seem to be a huge issue. If I have something that'll work, I'll put something in its place. But that's weird. We have two missing screws, and on each truck, they're mismatched styles. This is a flathead. This is a Phillips. So there's certainly something odd going on here. Nothing in that front truck seemed in need of any cleaning, and that other rear screw is also stripped out, so I can't really do anything with it. I might glue this cover down, but I'm not entirely certain. We'll come back to that later. But all I'm going to do is just clean off the wheels to make sure it's got good electrical conduct. Next, I'll quickly clean off this commutator. It does not look really bad, but I just want to see if I can get a little bit of dirt off of it. It's not perfect, but I think that looks pretty good. Now it's time to work on the problem child, the rear truck. While inspecting everything, I also noticed that this plate just seemed like a tiny bit bent, and just to make sure that it won't be any other problems aside from missing a screw, I'm just going to replace it with this spare that I have laying around. So first things first, I'm going to clean out all the components in here, including this new part, the truck frame, the gears, and the wheels, and probably throw on some new traction tires. Now it's time to throw this thing back together. I've given everything a good cleanup, and now all that it really needs is a little bit of fresh oil on all the bearings, the gears, all that. Then we can throw everything back in the engine, then we can button up a few more things, glue some stuff down, and give it a test run. Now that all that work's done, it's time to just throw this shell back on. And give this thing a test run. Now it's time to see if all that work has paid off. I'll give this thing some power. And it springs straight to life. This is actually pretty quiet for one of these old AHM engines, which is kind of a surprise, honestly, given the condition it was in when we started. By no means is it a quiet locomotive, but for an AHM, as I just said, it's quiet. So I think that's a pretty big success. Again, I'm not messing with the cosmetics, couplers, or any of that because I know someone else who wants to take on the rest of this project. And if any of you want to see me keep doing restorations like these, please do let me know because I'd like to continue if you all want to actually see them.